My name is Chris. I'm also an addict. Well, don't know if they call me an addict, but I've used just about every drug under the planet, under the sun, and currently also been using coke, heroin, buttons, you name it, I've had it. If I can get it, I'll use it. Pretty much had a decent upbringing. Grew up in Plumstead, Cape Town. Went to Plumstead Prep, went to John Graham. At that time it was mostly white schools and few coloureds and blacks, but predominantly white. Anyway, so everything was fine. My dad looked after me best he could. My mom, she was a housewife. She also looked after us as good as what she could. While I was a kid growing up, I have an older brother, he's a year and 8 months older than me. Because he came first, I think he was doted on by my grandparents very much. And then of course when I came along, they carried on doting on him, and I was sort of left behind. So my whole life being brought up, I was put down all the time by my parents, by my grandparents, by everybody, as the second best. And my brother was the best. And my brother used to get the big bicycle for Christmas, and I would get the little package with some underwear in, or a stupid fake Swiss Army knife or something. And my brother would get the latest rollerblades, the latest freaking mountain bike, whatever. So it was blatant. So I started becoming quite a angry child. I was very angry actually. I used to have tantrums in school, huge tantrums. I would smash things up in the class if I didn't get my way. If something wouldn't work right, if I couldn't get it right, I used to get frustrated and just throw it broken and smash everything and just go mad. So much so that I was actually taken to a school psychiatrist. I didn't know this at the time. In fact, I only told my parents 10 years later what had happened in that session. I was actually abused, molested by the psychiatrist. He pulled my pants down and he proceeded to take pictures of me, video clips of me, and playing with my, you know what. And I thought like this was normal. I thought that I was young. I mean, I was sub B, sub A, sub B, like grade 1, 2. I thought that's what they were supposed to do. I didn't know that it was wrong. And so that's why I never mentioned it to my parents. And then when I did 10 years later, they were like, oh my God, you were actually molested. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. So that like added a lot to my anger, because I didn't know why that happened, and I felt uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. So anyways, I was prescribed Prozac at the age of 13 already. But because I used to get into a temper really quickly, that didn't work for me. I needed something more, you know, something that could work now. Because if I'm angry now, I want to get calm now, not tomorrow, not next week. So I started smoking dacha, the gateway drug, so to speak. I always used to argue that it wasn't the gateway drug. I was always headstrong. I always said, no, I won't get addicted to anything. I can do this and I can stop whenever I want. And so I carried on. And at first it was a big thing. My dad found weed in my bedroom. My brother actually blitzed it on me. And my dad found it, and I got like the worst hiding of my life. And then I rebelled. And what I did was I pretty much took everything I owned and sold it at the age of 16. And I went out to town, to Joel. I went on a Joel with the money. It was like $600 or something. And that's where I did my first ecstasy tablet. And I'll be honest with you, it was the greatest night of my life. I do not have a better memory than that. It was so awesome. But of course, you want that feeling again, inevitably. And of course, the next time you have to use twice as much to get the same feeling. Anyway, so very soon I ended up going to these drug houses, and I didn't tell you this, but at that time, by the time I was 16, we had moved from Plumstead to Milnerton, which My dad was told it was Milnerton, but it was actually Brooklyn. And the zone that we were in, I had to go to the coloured school there, the coloured high school. And it was like all coloured. I was the only white person in the school. Very first day I got beaten up by the merchant's son, the main merchant in the area, Gavin Carolus, his son, Junior. I got into a fight with him, not knowing he was the main dealer's son. So I nearly got myself killed like the first day of school there. Anyways, I said to my dad, I can't get along here, I can't go to the school. He didn't care. He said, well, it's tough luck, you have to, because this is now where we live, so you must just put up with it. So anyways, I put my head down and I just did my schoolwork. I did well academically. I was good at maths, good at science, good at history, everything. I mean, I passed every standard without a problem. But what happened that was, to me, I used to blame my dad for it because of the move that we made, because he decided to move there. I used to blame him all the time. But I realize now it was through my own choices as well. I decided to, stick on the side of drugs. So started smoking buttons as well, and then I would like use E's as an upper and then smoke buttons as a downer. And all of this I did away from home. I did it with my best buddy at the time, school buddy, Shelton. We would go out and we would do like crazy things. We would go to Pardon Islands, the factories, we would go and steal out of the reject bins, like whatever we could find, reject, go sell it, so that we could buy buttons and ecstasy tablets. And then it quickly changed to rocks, and then we were suddenly we found ourselves sitting at what they call the White House, the American 27's drug den, and we got caught up with this whole gangsterism and the Nomma and all of this stuff. They treated us differently because we were YGs, you check? So because we were YGs, they actually treated us quite lekker. They would massage us, they would give us our ease, they would massage us, put cool music on and keep us there as long as what they could, because we were money.
Yeah.
So we ended up spending like most of our time there. And during that time in my life, I did a couple of really bad things. We actually, one day, I'll never forget it, we sold 3 girls that we'd met in a club in Tableview. We sold them to the merchant for a string of rocks. And I don't know, a string of rocks is 10 rocks. A long piece of plastic that's like been melted wherever there's a rock. So it's like long piece of plastic with these 10 rocks.
Like a string of sausages.
Yeah, like a string of sausages.
Yeah.
So we swapped in for this, bro, and like I could never forgive myself for that. Fuck it, hey, bro. That was terrible.
Do you know what became of them?
Hey?
Do you know what became of these women?
I have no idea what happened to them. I don't want to know what happened to them. It wasn't my idea. I just went along with it because I obviously wanted the drugs. In any case, while this was going on with me, my dad, little did I know and little did my mom know, he started messing around with another woman, which just happened to be my mom's best friend and our next door neighbor that used to come over for braais every weekend, basically. So when I finally did decide to go home, I came back to a house that was chaos. My mom was getting drunk every night. My dad was already an alcoholic to begin with. He was a quiet alcoholic. He could drink, he could handle his drink. He never used to hit my mom. Nothing like that. She used to beat him up. She would get drunk and start throwing ashtrays and plates of food at him, and it got to the point where they got divorced, and pretty much my dad moved in with my mom's best friend, his new floozy, and I had nowhere to go but to move with him, and he left my mom high and dry, sold the house. So I was stuck with my dad, even though I disagreed with what he did and I hated my stepmom, who she is now, they're married. I buckled down and I lived with him for like a year, and then my father's father died, and this was a big change in my life. This was in 2000. I just matriculated, 2001. Got a phone call. My grandfather passed away. father's side. Now he had a farm, okay, a big farm, beautiful farm. We used to go there every year for Christmas. It was my favorite place. I used to look forward to going there every year. And because me and my stepmother pretty much hated each other, when we moved up to the farm, the very first thing she said to me, the night that we arrived, she said, "You're not setting foot in my house." And that house was my grandparents' house, my family's house. She's some stranger. She had no right to do that. And my father gave her control. In fact, my father put everything into her name. Everything that he owned, including the farm. So anyways, I stuck it out there. I became a recluse for like 5 years. I lived in a caravan. I went fishing every day. I lived off the fishing, bro. I smoked lots of weed. And I lived basically in a location with black people. And I befriended the black people because they were much kinder. They had respect for me. They treated me... I felt good around them because
Treated
they
you
liked
like a
me.
human being.
Yeah, and they treated me like a human being, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't this piece of shit, you know.
Yeah.
And so I did that for a long time, and then one morning I was fishing on the beach, and I could see in the distance, I was quite far down the beach, and I could see this big guy coming towards me with a box in his hand. Anyway, so he gets closer and closer and closer, gets to me, I see it's a box of wine in his hand. So I look at this and I look at me, I look at my rod, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting no bites. Anyways, this guy comes to me and says, "What are you doing here? Come with me, man, let's have a dip. Stop, you're not going to catch anything." So I'm like, yeah, why not? Reeled up my line, frickin' hell, had a drink with this guy. The next morning, I shaved, I cleaned up, went to a rugby match. Same day, got a girlfriend. Same day, moved out of the house. Moved in with a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Her parents owned a pub and grub in the small town we were living in, Kensington. So I went from having almost nothing to eat because my stepmother wouldn't let me eat, she wouldn't give me food, she wouldn't let me in the house, I pretty much had to look after myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from that to now living in a restaurant, eating as much as I want, drinking whatever I wanted, money, I could save money, everything. So I managed to save up 10,000. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we moved to Port Elizabeth and got a double-story place in Richmond Hill. And yeah, I was running the Brazen Head, Cape Road, and I was working at Barney's in the beachfront as well, one of the top barmen there. Wherever I worked, I always worked myself to the top. I was one of those people that used to underestimate myself. I never thought I was any good to anybody because of my bringing up, because I was always, you know, my brother was doted on and I got fuck all, so I thought I was worthless, you know. But also at the time, because I was with this chick, it enabled me to stop smoking weed. So this whole time that I was in PE with her, I was clean, and that's why I was able to, you know, keep a job and pay for my studies and everything. And then, like, sure, through all of a sudden, one day I came home and there was a truck parked outside the place she was staying, and I went inside and this truck was just loading all our stuff onto the truck, and I was like, what's going on? They're like, no, you guys haven't paid the rent for like 3 months, so you're removing it. And I'm like, no, hold on. What had happened was this guy who I was paying the rent to, he was actually subletting the house to us without telling us, and the last 3 months rent that we'd given, he actually ran away with it and disappeared. And so it left me high and dry. So I had no choice but to phone my dad again. And she didn't listen, I'm in the crap. You know, I got nowhere to go. So anyways, I went back to the farm. Brew, it was hell. I managed to stick it out for about 3 months. After 3 months, had a fight with my dad, my stepmom. I told my dad to fuck off. Those were my last words to him. And anyways, came to Cape Town to my mom, and you must remember my dad left my mom with nothing. So she was actually phoning me, threatening to commit suicide if I didn't come and see her. So I thought, okay, well, it's a good reason to go see her now. So I went down to Cape Town, didn't let her know I was coming, nothing. I just arrived at their door here in Plumstead, and they were like shocked, like, you know. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I got a job, very quickly started managing a nightclub here, Gonzo's. Still clean, But because whenever I used to get angry, I used to either get drunk or do whatever I could. There was a random day when inevitably I got angry and someone had crystal meth. So I said, give me that stuff. What is it? Yeah, let me give, yeah, I want. So I took a hit of the stuff and fucked it through. Within 2 weeks, I'd lost my job there. I got another job again, some time later, but that was a really good job that I lost. Anyways, yeah, I met this chick and had 2 kids with her. Stayed here in Cape Town in Meadow-Ridge. And yeah, so that was a place for me to stay. And yeah, so we had these 2 kids. Like, the reason we had the kids was totally the wrong reason. We pretty much said to each other, yeah, let's have children so that we can, you know, take
Bond
responsibility over our lives.
Yeah.
You know? Ended up being a big fuck up.
Sure.
We were on took at the time. She was on took. A lot of it. When our firstborn came, I stopped without rehab. Got a job managing cabanas in Newland, and worked there for some time. My girlfriend was in rehab at the time. She went for 2 months. Those 2 months I was just working my ass off for her, and I just gave the money, my salary, straight to her grandparents, which is where we were staying under their roof. Gave them my whole salary, both months. And then she came out, and the first day she came out, I hadn't even seen her yet, and I found out that she was at the merchant's house. So I got really angry, and she was there with my son. Bro, I get to the fucking merchant, bruh. I storm through the front door. I go to the room, because I know the people. I used to go there all the time, so I know them.
Mm-hmm.
I get into the room is hot box with fucking tick smoke, and my lighty, who's not even 6 months old, is in the same room.
Oh,
Bro, I nearly went bossy. Bro, I quietly took my son in the pram, wheeled him out, put him one side. I was with her grandparents at the time. They gave me a lift there actually. Gave him to them so that he was safe. I turned around and I punched her as hard as I could in the face. It's the first and only time it was at that time the first time I'd ever hit a woman. I never thought I would, but that was just too much for me, and I knocked her out, bro. And anyways, our second born came a year later, and she was still struggling with the addiction. And of course, me trying to stop her all the time, actually I ended up using again as well, because I keep going to the freaking merchant's house to go and haul her out. Eventually I just thought, just give me a hit, because I was so angry.
Because I can't beat them.
And then I just went, then I actually went like quite heavy on it. Then like she had another episode also. Took psychosis. We went to my best buddies in Kenilworth. We stayed there for like a week, smoking every day, and she developed psychosis. She ran away from us one morning. Don't know where she ran to. We were looking for her for 3 days. We found her. She was by one of her friends. She told them that we were trying to sell her as a sex slave on the black market.
Jesus.
And she really believed this, and she told them such a believable story that they all believed it too. And so when we got to the house where she was, the husband of her friend's mom that she was visiting came and wanted to punch me in the face, and her grandfather actually had to stop him and say, whoa, listen first. Then I explained to him, listen, we were doing tip, she developed psychosis, she ran away, right, bro. That blew over. She calmed down, whatever. She went back on her medication again, which was Valium. She was prescribed Valium packs, and what that used to do is used to make her very sleepy. Then I ended up from having a crazy drug using her to having her that she just slept all day. She was like a zombie. I mean, that's not a life to live like that. I mean, she can't live sedated all the time. So I didn't like that, I didn't like it. And I said to her, don't take the meds, let's just try and do this without meds, And in any case, second child came along. Grandparents wouldn't have it. They said we had to put him up for adoption. We weren't allowed to see him. I actually snuck into the incubation room where they were keeping him to say goodbye to him without permission, because I thought to myself, I have to see my son before they take him. And you know what? I could see my firstborn had more of her blood and more of her looks. My secondborn was like a little carbon copy of me. That was my mini-me. So it was really difficult for me. It was really difficult for me. It was so difficult, bruh. And anyways, we had him, and she was also angry inside because we had to give him away, but she let it out in the wrong way. She came to my work one day at Cabana. She told them we were on drugs, whatever. She basically I got fired because of her. And that's when I just said, I've had enough. I left her house for the streets.
And you've been there since?
Yeah, that was 8 years ago.
Wow. Ouch, man.
And haven't seen my firstborn since.
Yeah.
I don't want him to see me. I don't want him to know that his dad's a burgie. You know, we're stigmatized out here on the streets.
Yeah.
We're called burgies. We're put in a bubble, in the burgie box or the burgie bubble, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all here because of our own doings.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes, a lot of it is my own doings, but look what I was left with. Look what my other option was.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
was to stay there, desperately trying to keep us together, and just
Or doing worse so
working.
you can
I needed
get by.
space. I was gonna go. I was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
I nearly killed her one day. I was gonna kill her, and then one of my buddies gave me a hit of heroin, and I was in a rage. I was in a total rage, and he gave me this hit of heroin, and I was instantly calm, instantaneously. I have never had something stop me so dead in my tracks as that did. It took me from gonna kill you crazy to so calm. I didn't even know. I thought to myself, what was I doing? You know? And so I fucking just started using, like, lots of it. And got caught up, you know? And kept on trying to tell myself, like, I'm not an addict, I'm not addicted, it's fine, I can stop. When in actual fact,
As one does, yeah.
it was already controlling me. I started smoking, then I started spiking. Then I started spiking heroin and tip together, cocktails. And yeah, bro. Then I went back to PE for a little while. Remembering that this is now the first time I'm going to PE on the streets. I was on the streets here in Cape Town. I had nothing to lose. So I went up to PE thinking maybe it'd be better there on the streets. And sure, I had a hell of a time up there. That place is full of white people that are on the streets. They're all white. And they're all heroin addicts. All of them. And they're all standard robots with a board. It's crazy. It's insane. It's so insane. Anyways, I was in tears every morning in that place, bro, wishing I was here in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Came back to Cape Town about 2 years back. And just picked up where I left off. You know?
Yeah.
Carried on. I mean, people treat you so cuck, you know, and like if you look at me now, I look decent, but just a few minutes ago, I looked a lot worse. And I found that I actually had to look bad, because what I did, you know, I didn't know. I mean, people won't give you a job if you are on the streets. People do not even give you the time of day. You can go to any business, any place, you can try and ask them for work. They'll tell you, hey, fuck off, get off my doormat before you make it dirty. You know, they didn't even want to hear your story. They don't care, because they've heard it all before, and it's all bullshit. And you're just there to lie and steal of them. And I can understand it, because this is Cape Town. It's full of shitheads that steal and lie all the time. So I understand it.
Yeah.
But there's always a couple of people that actually need help that can't get it. I'm one of them. That I'm decent, man. I'm not a gangster. I've got a criminal record, yes. I have shoplifted. Yes, I've been arrested for possession of drugs. I've been arrested for beating my ex up. I nearly went to jail for 8 years for domestic violence, for nearly killing her.
Yeah.
All she had to do was say yes to the judge, and I would have been gone, bro. I just looked at her that day, bro, and I stared into her eyes, and I prayed for her to just say no, and she said no. Thank God.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've been trying to get off the streets. I've had people with dollars, like thousands of dollars, trying to help me, bro, to get me off the streets, and you will not believe how difficult it is. Once you're on the street, my man, to get off, it is virtually impossible.
Once you're off, you need to stay off drugs as well. So
and
you
that's
need
also another
proper
thing.
rehabilitation and monitoring of your progress. You need support, you know?
Yes, you need secondary and tertiary care.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go to rehab, come out, and now you're all fine. You need to be kept on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
You need to be kept busy.
Yeah.
You cannot have the same group of friends. You cannot even go to the same area.
Exactly.
You know, I've got a buddy, my best friend for 13 years, Gareth Williams. He is actually lost the plot. He's actually gone mad.
Yeah.
The strangest thing is he's got a mom who loves him and got money and everything, and he won't go home. He wouldn't go. He'd rather be on the drugs. Me, I've lost both my parents since I ended up on the street. My dad died in 2010, cancer. My mom died of motor neuron disease in 2013. I've got no family left. I've got no one left to help me. And like I said, my dad left everything to my stepmom. So I got nothing. And so I can't go home, even if I wanted to. You know, I can't. Whereas he could. And I used to crap him out. Why? You've got a mom, she loves you, she's got a nice house in Glen. Why don't you go home? Be clean, get a job. What the hell? That's all I ever dream of, that's all I want. And I can't get it. But you've got it and you're just throwing it all away. Why? Why? I can't understand it. I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to. But all I can say is I've been looking for a platform to get out of this mess. And who would have thought that I would have met this chap that I met. I met this chap very recently. An entrepreneur, I would say he is.
This is about me.
Who said? What? You're not that great.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
No, man. Yeah, like, you can skip the rap about me. Because we'll get to that. Yeah.
That I've always needed a platform to voice my opinions. This is like my first skit, so I don't know how good this is going to be, but I'll have more. There will be more.
Man, yeah.
I'm educated. I'm good with electronics. I studied electrical engineering for 2 years. Paid for it myself. More into audio, the audio side of it. But I can do anything to do with electrical. And you know, even with those skills, being on the street, you can tell people that you have the skills, whatever. They are not even prepared to give you a chance to, like, you know, say to you, okay, listen, come and work with me for a week or two. We'll see how you do. And if you do well, then
probation
you're
period.
on board.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't, then you can stuff off.
If you got a dodge record, they write you off, my man. That's how it goes.
Unfortunately, having a criminal record, yes, that does that. Exactly.
And that's not really. I mean, that to me is just kind of a way that the justice system, you know, falls short. It's like, do your time, and then, you know, however they follow up, and then there's no support to actually properly rehabilitate you. So, you know, like programs that support ex-convicts to gather and use skills, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they want to extend your punishment for the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah, it certainly feels.
I can only imagine, you know, but, you know, I haven't been, you know, a goody two-shoes all the time, you know. I've just been lucky enough not to get into trouble that's too severe, you know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I made this choice myself. I left the home for the streets because I couldn't take it anymore. My ex smashed my front teeth out of the bar stool the last time I saw her. I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't live like that anymore. I couldn't be on that stuff anymore. I just couldn't. So I actually came to the streets out of choice.
Yeah.
But not thinking to myself that my parents were going to die. I didn't think that they were going to die so soon. It happened so quickly. And I wasn't on my feet when it happened. So, it just made it worse. It just made me want to use more drugs. So I fucked myself up good and properly. Like really. But if I can give any advice, I'm not good at giving advice, I'll be honest with you, but I'm very bad at that. Anyways, I would say, if you have parents and you have grudges between them, you and your dad or you and your mom, sort it out before they die. Because believe me, when they die, they ain't coming back. And those words that you need to say can never be said. And my last words to my dad were fuck off. And all I wanted was to fix that, and my stepmother barred me from coming there before he died. He was in hospital just before he died. She stopped me. She did everything in her power to not let me come there because I was a threat to her. And so I never got to see my dad, and I never got to change what was said. And even with my mom, I never got to tell her what I really thought. And, I never even got to tell her I loved her, because she was living with my grandfather, and he actually moved without telling me because he didn't want me there, because I was on the street. See, even my own family treated me like a piece of shit. And so they moved without telling me, and she died while, with them, not knowing where I was and me not knowing where she was. So, that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. Really. So if you can make amends with your parents, if you're stuck in a situation and you're on the street at the moment, whatever, and you're busy fighting with your parents, go home. Fucking tune them you're sorry. Tune them you want to try. Even if you hate them and you don't want to. Okay, if you had abusive parents and they're still abusive, okay, maybe don't go home. But
you should talk to somebody, right?
Sorry?
They should talk to somebody.
Or talk to someone.
Talk to multiple people so one of them can't abuse you while that's happening,
Yeah.
Should always be a witness present.
Yeah. That's actually quite true what you say, yeah. But and also I would say, do not think that you are greater than drugs, because no matter how much you think you know it all, you don't. And I was a Mr. Know-It-All, and guess what?
The star here. Okay, I'm rolling. Action.
Now and forever,
Hard, man.
I will be